This may look like an original iMac G3 with a slot loading CD drive, but it isn't. This is the fastest iMac G3 ever. I have taken this 25-year-old computer with its original CRT display and dragged it kicking and screaming into the modern age. With a 10-core M4 processor, it's capable of not just browsing the web and doing normal stuff, but it can also edit video and play the newest games. This computer's my favourite form factor. I've wanted one since I first saw them, and now not only do I have one, but it's actually usable in the modern day. So stick with me to see how I did it. Hi, it's Matt. This is Apple's iconic iMac G3 all-in-one computer from 1998. I've always wanted one. I have one now, but it is so impractical to use as a computer because it's 28 years old. It looks so pretty, but I just can't use it. If you compare that with the Mac Mini M4 from last year, this is possibly the best price to speed ratio in a computer. And what I'm hoping is that I can fit this inside here and get something that looks this pretty working again in a way that I can actually use it. So how am I going to do this then? Well, this is 90% CRT screen. I don't need to touch that. On the bottom is where the computer lives. In theory, the computer should slide out, and I'm going to see what I can do to make this fit inside. I've also got an extra one, and most importantly, this one is blue. The two iMacs might look very similar on the outside, but they are completely different on the inside. And that's in such a way that should make the green one way easier to prototype with, and the blue one way easier to make a finished project with. The green one's innards are separated. The computer is its own module, which plugs into the CRT screen, speakers, power button and everything, using reasonably normal connectors. Which means, in theory, to test this, I can just plug my Mac Mini into the iMac screen, but the other connectors that deal with controlling the screen, power and everything, those I can't find any documentation for on the internet, and working all of that out would take a lot of time. The blue one, though, is way more tightly integrated. It hasn't got any normal connectors to easily access the CRT and everything. They're all built into the motherboard. I don't really know what's going where, and it's all very complicated to get to. The advantage of this one, though, is someone has already done most of the work for me. I found Rocky Hill's GitHub, which documents his project using an iMac as a screen for a Raspberry Pi. And he's used this type of iMac and designed 3 circuit boards that you can use to basically break all of those weird connectors out into useful connectors. So it seems like a project that should just work as well for the actually putting it together and making everything work as a whole and also fit inside the box. So the plan is start with the green one, check the theory. If the theory is good, then move on to the blue one and try and make a complete project out of it. Oh, it's a heavy one. So from what I've seen of repair manuals and stuff, I think I'd take this one screw out, take the plastic shroud off, and the computer should just slide out, leaving just the monitor. Ooh, there we go. So that should be the video connector for this monitor, which is plugging into this shell here, which is the computer itself. Well, that's gone forever. One of the things I'm being careful of here is old plastic can get very brittle. So everything here, like the connectors, the cables and stuff, while they were originally flexible, they might now be brittle, and I don't really want to break anything. I think that's everything undone that I need to undo, so if I pull this up... Oh, the plastic handle's just cracked. We have a computer. I thought the majority of the weight in this would be well, it is the monitor, but this is still heavy. What I'm looking for in here is the video cable. And while it uses the same signaling as VGA for the video, it uses a slightly different connector. I have got a USB-C to VGA cable, so I can go from the Mac towards the screen, but these connectors aren't going to fit. So I've got these two breakout adapters. One can go in the end of this VGA cable, so I have access to all of the individual bits inside it, and then connect them up individually to this 15-way D connector, which can then plug in to the Mac screen. And on my first try, it didn't work at all. And my thought here is that it's slightly more integrated than I thought it was. And when you look at the sheer number of wires going in and out of the computer module, it seems like that might be controlling the turning on and off of everything in it. So I put the computer module back in, plugged everything into it except the video connector. That way the computer can deal with making everything else turn on and work, but my Mac Mini can send the video to it. So hopefully it'll turn on and I can see it. Well, it looks like the plastic has cracked off the front of the slot loading drive. Mildly annoying, but not unexpected. You can live there for now. Everything is connected up in here. The computer's in there. It's just not plugged into the screen. And hopefully when I press the power button, we hear it fizzle on. Well, that's definitely on. I heard the monitor go donk. We're not going to see anything on the screen now because the only thing plugged into it is this Mac. So let's turn on this Mac. Bomb. That still didn't work, so my next step was to use my laptop, a known working computer, instead of the Mac Mini, which I haven't actually plugged into another screen at this point. And it still didn't work, and it turns out it doesn't want to turn on. That Mac was dead. So I found another on eBay, went through all of this again. Are we getting anything? We are! Let me turn my lights off so you can see. Yeah! And we have our proof of concept finally. Now I'm going to move over to the blue one and see if I can fully integrate the Mac Mini. Despite looking the same from the front, the construction of this newer blue one is actually quite a bit different. It's got an access hatch here. This one is a window into the RAM, so you can upgrade that. That came off easier than I expected. Oh, that's icky. It's important to be careful when working on CRT screens like this because they run on tens of thousands of volts and they can shock you. The construction of the other one kind of separates the CRT part from the computer part, so with the metal shrouding around the CRT, there's no way of getting your fingers anywhere near there without trying very hard. This one, it's plastic with big windows going in, no doubt for cooling, but I can see straight into the circuits here for the CRT. And even though this has been off, I gave it some power maybe 2 weeks ago when I bought it and it didn't quite turn on properly. But that can be enough and it can still hold that power. So I'm currently assessing the situation to see if I can get at the computer without revealing the CRT part. What I've spotted here is this cage is screwed on from this side, so I should be able to unscrew this and take it off without revealing anything further back than it, which is all of the dangerous stuff, really. Opening this up, you can see how much of this is monitor compared to computer, because that is the plane. Everything this side is computer, everything this side is monitor. We've got the main logic board here with the processor probably behind that heatsink. We've got the RAM sticks, we've got the power supply. I think there's a mains power supply in here somewhere, and then this is doing some conversion for the computer to run. And then we've got a hard drive in here, and also the CD drive as well. I've had a delivery. It's from PCBWay, this video's sponsor, who have done two things that I needed help with. The first one is making the circuit boards, which I have no idea how to do myself. But I did have the files, so I worked out how to graffiti them in KiCad and then uploaded these files to PCBWay's website. The second thing is assembling the boards, and while I can solder, doing tiny little surface mount components is an exercise in patience, which isn't something I have too much of. So I could upload the bill of materials for this project. PCBWay went and found them, soldered them on, and sent them back to me. PCBWay, they make making makeable. The point of these three boards is to replace this main circuit board from inside the iMac and give us some useful connectors to work with. The reason we need to replace something is all of the functions of this monitor and the way the computer interfaces with it and the speakers and everything is all built in rather than have separate components. So as well as having the computer on here, it's also got the power supply board, and then it's got some other stuff I think around here that deals with the speakers. The theory is I can take this off and then we'll end up with a big gap that we can fill with these three boards to get what we need out of it to be able to fit in the Mac Mini. Now I think I left all the screws undone on this. Oh, So that's that board out. So that one goes in here. We've got this one. Oh, it's got screw mounting posts as well. And then for this remaining one, we need to reuse this power supply board. Yeah, this down converter board is effectively the power supply. The power goes in, it converts it to CRT screen level, and then this converts it down to computer level. So this down converter board should clip nicely into this. Yes, just being very delicate with everything. That looks like it's in place. And then this should all fit in as one piece. Oh yeah, and then we can screw it in. And these are the three main components now that should make it work. The added advantage to this board is it's got a microcontroller on it, which should be able to speak down the data lines of the VGA connector and tell whatever computer you're plugging it into what resolution to output. Whereas when I was testing before, I had to download an app and then mess about to get it to output what this was looking for. Before I plow on too far, let's do a little sense test. Will the Mac fit in the gap? Oh, that is absolutely going to fit in there once I remove the CD drive. Is that easy to do now? Oh, am I going to get some instant gratification from this? This was not designed to come out easily. Yeah! Oh, yes. Loads of room. Oh. Oh, I'm so happy. Not only does it fit, but we've got this little flappy bit here, so if a connection ever gets loose, we can reach in and firm it up. I will probably put the Mac that way up so it's the right way up when the whole computer's not sitting on its head. And as much as I want to wire it up now, before I continue, I have to program the microcontroller that's on this board because it has come blank from the factory and I need to put the code in it so it knows what to do with all of these connectors. That took forever. And I think it's mostly due to me having no experience in bare microcontroller programming. Everything I've used before has got a very handy USB programmer built in and Arduino or CircuitPython or something like that bootloader built into it to make getting the code on very easy. In this case, I did a lot of trial and error and I ended up using a USB tiny ISP to get the code on there, which is something I suspect you don't need any of the details about. I'm gonna cry. But if it's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments and I'll put a post on my Patreon about it. Let's wire some of this together. I've wired it up as it says to on the basic wiring diagram. We've got the power button and LED wired up to here. And when it gets the power button, I think it lights the LED on, and then it also tells this power supply to turn on using the input it's got. In theory, I can plug this into the mains and then press the power button on the front and the screen will turn on and it'll show us video from this. I've been thinking about assembly and I need to put the Mac Mini inside here, and the best place to put it in my mind is where the CD and hard drive used to go.
It looks like this frame here, this metal frame, was used as part of the structure originally, because pretty much everything else here, apart from the cage, is plastic. And this is where most of the weight's going to be going, I think. So I want to keep this frame, and I don't want this to be jiggling around inside it. So I have 3D printed a little bracket here. The idea with this is that I can put it on top of the Mini, so I can bolt it into this frame. That means when this is upside down, it's going to hang there and not bounce about. And overall, it should just keep it steady. Still got access to all the main ports. I can still press the power button. I don't have a solution for that once it's all closed up just yet. But if you set the computer to sleep rather than shut it down, then that uses barely any power and you don't have to reach into the power button. Obviously, I need to tidy up these wires at some point, but I'll just shove them here for now. I'm undecided at the moment whether I want to reuse this piece or make something of my own.
No, run out of time. This took too long. I just wanted to get it out. I just poked the cables through those holes. That could be a later project. This is one of those projects where I have been so close for so long, I can almost taste the finish. I've got the Mac in place. It is not mounted yet because I can't quite find the right screws. And the cables, I've tidied them up so they're a reasonable length. I've also plugged in the audio, so that should work as well, hopefully. I've got one last bit to close, because this is the place where you can not only get to the ports, but also get to the power button. And while I would have loved to have integrated the power supply so then I can just get at this one, I figured it would be much safer if I don't open up the scary bit inside where it's got kilovolts and just stay well away from it. And looking at it, it doesn't look easily accessible anyway. So I have fished the cable through the hole where the network port, no, where the USB used to go. But before I close this, I do need to plug it into the power, turn it on, and then I can flip it the right way up, because there's no other way to get to this interesting power button. Should hear this go bong. There we go. And with the Mac on, let's...
Save up to half price on holiday heroes at Boots.
Well, the speakers work.
One day CRM has the best AI features in the game.
Especially in sales. So for me,
Let's see what's going on. Did I have a YouTube video running? Yay. And look, it can play YouTube.
The nerds in the audience might be asking for benchmarking. It's not something I've really done before, but I can do a disk speed test and you can see it is just as fast as the computer that's inside it, of course. The only difference is that we're looking at it on a CRT screen rather than plugging it into something else. But I did a Geekbench and the multi-core score is 14,500. I don't know what that means, but it's fast. And I thought, well, what do you do with a nice new computer? You play games on it, don't you? It loads even faster than my gaming computer does. Would I recommend that you do this yourself? Maybe. To do it, you need to have a good knowledge of electronics, microcontrollers, computers, and some experience working inside things that are a little dangerous, because you can't forget that this CRT screen uses 26,000 volts as part of its working. So you need to be very, very careful if you open any kind of CRT screen. So this isn't for the faint of heart and only for the experienced. But if you wanted to do it, then it is doable. I don't think I really used any special equipment other than a soldering iron and a programmer for the microcontroller. The programmer I bought specifically for this project, and it didn't cost very much. And making the PCBs, well, I didn't have to do that because of PCBWay. So we would not be here without this video sponsor, PCBWay. So thank you very much to them. and to my Patreon supporters as well. Thank you very much. You can sign up to my Patreon completely for free if you want, but if you'd like to contribute towards my video making, then you can also subscribe there as well. Thank you very much for watching, and now you're done with this, why not watch this YouTube video?